Hey everybody, welcome back to Marriage Chats, here with a good thing. Again, I'm Tiara.
And I am Adrienne, and we would just like to say welcome back to our channel. Welcome back. We appreciate you guys joining us this week for this week's episode. Before we get into things, don't forget some hospitality rules.
Yes.
Like, comment, subscribe, notification, all the things.
All of the things.
All of the things. So today we're gonna just hop right on in there.
Yep.
Today we got some big things frying.
Going real deep.
Yes. Go ahead and let us know what we about to talk about.
Today we're gonna talk about some requirements. Requirements in marriage. So this means if you ain't ready for these here things we talk about today, it ain't time for you to be married yet. Because if y'all don't know, we'll remind you that our audience is not only those who are married, but those who are looking to get married.
Yeah.
But I think it's also essential to remind those who are married that, hey, you need to check yourself.
Yeah,
look at yourself. Are you doing these things? Because we want to be successful.
Right.
So we're going to talk about vulnerability, transparency, and one of the most discussed things that you're hearing, especially with the church folk, is submission.
Yeah. Submission is like a curse word. Do you understand me? And it's crazy that in the church they're like, submit.
Right.
And then everybody's like, but I'm not no slave.
I gotta submit.
Right. Submit. What does that mean? But it's not a curse word, guys.
Not.
I promise you.
It could be a beautiful thing.
Yes, it can. And it's not just a one-sided thing. It's a together partnership thing. It's not bad.
Just thinking about submission, I was thinking about a conversation that me and Dree was having earlier with my husband about the difference between men and women and our thought process, our mind. That kind of taps into submission a little bit too. We get turned on by different things. Different things float our boat, but that's another show.
Yep.
Be on lookout for that.
Yes, sir.
But we're going to start off with talking about vulnerability first.
Yes.
And this could be a curse word for some people too.
Yeah.
Because people don't like being all emotional and soft. Let me tell you,
I'm emotional. I'm soft.
Yeah.
I am a true Cancer. Do you understand? I'm a soft shell crab.
Yeah.
I am definitely a soft shell crab. Yeah. I cried. I cried today.
Yeah.
It's so good.
Yeah. It can be good. It can be good. Yeah. Sometimes it don't feel good, but sometimes it do. You just have to release.
Yes. Relax, relate, release.
I was just trying to think of what that saying was. Yes. Let's talk about vulnerability first. First I'm going to read the conventional dictionary definition first. So vulnerability is the quality or state of being exposed to the possibility of being attacked or harmed or physically or emotionally. So you really think about that, the first thing I think is that the vulnerability thing, what people don't like is that there's fear behind it ultimately. You worrying about if I'm going to get hurt, who's going to hurt me? Is it going to hurt my feelings? You're thinking about me. And don't get me wrong, we do need to consider ourselves. Yeah, it's very important. But when you're in a relationship with someone, with your spouse, don't get me wrong, you're going to hurt each other.
Yeah. And you don't mean to.
Right.
You don't mean to. You're learning, especially if you've been that way for all your life. And then you come into a relationship with someone and you're close, then those things that you do to hurt your spouse or hurt your friends, family, that you never knew that you did, your spouse is going to bring that up. Like, hey, did you realize that you did this? Yeah. They're going to bring it up to you. Yeah. They're going to bring it up to you.
And a part of being vulnerable means being willing and able to speak up.
Yeah.
And say those things. Like if you're not telling your spouse that something hurts your feelings or something hurt about you, because you have to remember, you guys are two different people.
Yeah.
Two different households, female and male.
Yep.
It's all different aspects. Even though you two are coming together as one, you're not the same person. You're the two people who are trying to come together as one, and that doesn't happen instantly. It comes over a lifetime.
Over time, yeah.
So you're learning each other, and you have to continue learning each other to see what hurts you, what motivates you, what encourages, what makes you feel good, what you like, stuff like that. And that really requires vulnerability from both sides.
Oh yeah. I like to think of it as a safe space. Are you a safe space for your spouse? Are you a safe space, or are they a safe space for you? Can you all like come to each other like without judgment and be like, man, I was thinking this, or, you know, I like this. Like, that's their vulnerability. It's nothing wrong. It's scary. It's scary, but I highly recommend try it. Try it. Maybe during the engagement season. Just try it. Just like, you know, be open and honest. Take some time. Maybe sit in a dark room if that makes you feel comfortable. Because the important thing is that you feel like you're in a safe space. You feel safe enough with this person to be able to share these vulnerable thoughts or ideas with your partner. Like that's it's very important. It's very important. And if you feel like you can't, maybe you should reconsider, well, is this a person for me? Or just think, what is it that I could do? Or how can I bring up that I want this to be a safe space?
Making a disclaimer.
And same with like vice versa. Make sure that, you know, you are a safe space for them as well to come to you and just be open and share. And, you know, so I think it's very important to be vulnerable. Absolutely. I'm vulnerable all the time.
And I'm vulnerable, but I still have to give disclaimers to my husband. The reason why, he's a big jokester. He jokes about everything still to this day. You know, sometimes you have those things where you love about somebody, but it irks your nerve at the same time. It's one of those things. So I have to be like, honey, this is one of those moments, okay? I need to share something with you, but I need you to be serious. Put your serious hat on. Put your loving vulnerability hat on, you know. And there's nothing wrong with that, because then you're avoiding having a conflict or getting your feelings hurt or whatever the case, because you're letting them know, here, let's change the scene. Let's change the environment, the atmosphere right now. We're not in a joking matter, or whatever the case is. So, but vulnerability in a marriage can be a crucial part of building intimacy and trust. And it can also help you to regulate difficult feelings and cope with them, which, as I just mentioned, reduce conflict. Vulnerability can involve sharing your emotions, experiences, needs, beliefs, and being open to the possibility of being hurt. So we're going to go through some ways of how you can make your relationship safe enough to be vulnerable, starting with reciprocation. So even though you two aren't the same, you still want to make sure that you're giving what you want to receive. And I think it's important. And I think this is another thing that kind of hurts marriages too, to kind of speak to what I've just mentioned. But you all have to continually to converse with each other and just saying stuff like, I really liked when you did that. I appreciated when you did that. I didn't like when you did it. I didn't like the way that made me feel. Because again, to someone who may be like, you know, a jokester like me, or coming in with all the work on their shoulders and upset and just still in their day and not really think about what's going on. Not really thinking about if I came home to my wife who's working all day, who's not either working all day too, or taking care of the children at home, you don't know what all kind of mess she just got done dealing with. So you almost got to take off this armor when you come home, and you guys both kind of be understanding towards one another. Like, okay, well, I don't know what kind of day they had. So let me just take a minute. Let me check on them. Let me make sure they're okay, you know. But it's about, if you guys are loving on each other, serving one another. I can't remember. There's a saying about that, about just continuing, just serve each other to death. Yeah. If you serving him and he's serving you, you can't go wrong. Right. So next one is build trust, being transparent, honest, and faithful. And we're going to go into transparency, so I'm not going to go too deep into that one. The next one is raise issues appropriately. Oh, yes. One thing that I feel like I am very good about, and I hope, like, sometimes I feel like, dang, was that manipulation? It's something you got to self-evaluate sometimes. But one thing that my husband and I, but
like me, because my husband's pretty quiet. I am good about saying like, hey, when you did this or when you didn't do this, I took it as this.
Yeah.
I felt this way and I took it this way. And I do apologize if the outcome was me getting blown up on it.
Yeah.
In the words of Candy Burns, getting blown up on you.
Right.
But I try to make sure that I bring it up. We have a conversation. And then he does the same with me. It might not be as often, but I try to make sure that I bring it up because I don't want just issues just to be lingering and then we don't come to some kind of resolve about it. And
going to bed mad.
Going to bed mad. I don't want that to happen.
Yeah.
I want us to put that thing out there, have a discussion so that you can hear where I'm coming from and I can hear where you're coming from.
Yeah.
So that we can just get an understanding of, oh, okay, well, I did this and he did that, and then it made me doing this made him feel this way, or me being made her feel this way,
Yeah.
So it's, to me, it really is just considering your partner, considering your husband, your wife, your spouse, their feelings. Just bringing all of that up because I don't want to go. I love my boo for life.
Yeah.
I love you, boo.
Shout out to our boos.
Right. I love my boo for life and I don't want to be like mad at him and then he'll try to like break the ice by telling a corny joke.
Yeah.
You're not funny, babe, but I love you. I still laugh at those jokes. I still laugh at them. But he might, try to break the ice by doing that. But I mean, even before we get into the conversation, I make sure I take a deep breath or I walk away because I don't want to start talking and then say some off the wall stuff that I don't mean. I'm just saying in the heat of the moment because I'm like, let me figure out a way to shoot you down.
Yeah.
And make sure you stay down.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's not the way to go.
Right. And I understand it can be tricky sometimes because of course we take care of ourselves, right? We're concerned about ourselves, but we also need to treat our spouse as if they were like us. So that means I need to consider them too.
Yep.
I need to consider what I'm saying, how I'm saying it, and the moment I'm saying. If my husband walked through the door and spilling the beans about all the stuff that made him frustrated today, I don't want to be in competition with him, but like, well, but I was it, and just turn it on me. Yeah. No, I need to give him his moment to get it out and actually listen.
Yeah.
Not just sitting there acting like I'm like I'm listening. I'm not, because that means you're not really validating their feelings for real. And that's not reciprocating what you want. You have your time, but you need to make sure that you give them the time too. They need to be heard. So that's a part of that reciprocation.
Yeah.
And that leads us to practice vulnerable listening. Learning to listen well makes it possible for you and your partner to become more vulnerable in your communication. Because if you're both like making up in your mind that I'm going to listen to him, he's going to listen to me, that can make the conversation more in depth with more substance. It could have y'all end up in the bed. It could do a few things, like, you know what? I just love you. I just love you too. Because you guys both realize that you're there for each other in that moment. You're both hearing one another, and that's being vulnerable.
Right. And that's one thing. What is it? Listen to hear and not listen to speak.
Yeah.
That's that thing. Because a lot of the times, like, we'll go off on our spouse and then the argument happens because it's like, I'm spewing at you, but I'm not listening to what you're actually saying.
Right.
Arguments don't always have to be, can't stand it, punch. Arguments don't have to be that.
Yeah.
We could like literally just sit and talk. I mean, still be heated because I always got fumes coming up out of my head when I'm mad. But you have that conversation and then you sit and you process what you just heard so that you're not about to spew something back.
Right.
Because you're just going off of not listening.
Right.
Like you want to validate, like Twee said, you want to validate what your partner, what your spouse has just said.
Yeah.
Because they're being vulnerable. And if you do not validate it, you know what's going to happen?
Shutting down.
shut down like a what restaurant didn't shut down? The ones that's filled with roaches. Shut down like a F class restaurant
with the spidey webs and all.
Not spidey webs.
The spidey webs and all. And the thing is, like, that just closes the door for intimacy, for all kind of things, because that person is not. First of all, it's very triggering because you don't know what that person, well, you might know and you might not know, because there's some things that we don't even realize that we remember or don't remember from our past that we're still dealing with ourselves.
Right.
But you might be triggering something from when they felt like they weren't heard as a child.
Yeah.
So you don't want to just push them off. That's a form of rejection. I know myself personally, I deal with rejection. So I definitely don't want to feel any rejection from my spouse.
Right.
So keep that in mind.
Right.
Keep that in mind. So being fully present, like Adrian was saying, and to kind of add to that, you know, not interrupting them, but making sure that this is down. I know there's times where I'm talking to my husband and I'm trying to multitask and I'm trying to get stuff done. And, you know, he makes comments sometimes like, so what you doing, honey? So how much longer you gonna be on that? Or I thought you was done with school, or you just, and I'm like, I'm sorry, honey, just let me. And I'm always doing something. It's not like I'm just literally just dilly dallying. I'm finishing up a budget. I'm doing a grocery list. I'm looking up some research for school for the girls or whatever. I'm looking at that grade. It's always something. Yeah. But I have to learn how to put it away when we're both ready, and we've had to make a commitment to know, like, okay, we're both ready. Let's just put everything aside.
Right, because it allows you to be present. Like, I know with me, like, I try to, like, my distraction, the phone. TikTok got me in a do you understand me? It is shaking me to my core.
Yeah.
But when I know that my husband wants to talk, I'm like, okay, let me try to listen to what he's saying, because obviously he wants to talk to me. So, you know, I don't want him to feel like, you know, he's not important. But then I know he's also working on that with me, because he's not as forward with it as I am. But when I want attention, I want you to give me that attention. And I don't want attention from everyone else. Yeah. I want attention from him. Yeah. And so with him, he starts moving around and, you know, I got to do this at the house and kids. and I'll be like, just come sit. Oh, no, I got to go sweep the grass. I got to go. And I'll be like, sit down. Pay attention to me. I want the attentiones.
Me and my husband have that sometimes where it's like, it could be the times where he looks the most attractive to me at the moment. And I'm ready to go kiss him. He's like, honey, I was going to go use the bathroom. Honey, I was just getting ready to go. Honey, I'm just like, so you're going to have those times already where it's just not happening, lining up at the same time. Even sex. Yeah. It's always going to be 1 minute where you ready and I'm tired. Or is he ready and I'm still doing this, I'm still doing that. So you got to be intentional about it for sure.
Definitely.
And then asking the right questions. Make sure that not only you're listening, but ask the questions, listen in, follow up, ask them how they feel, how they made them feel, what you're going to do now. So what you think? So how would you like me to support you? What would you like me to do? Stuff like that. And sometimes we know it's not always that. Sometimes people just really want to be heard. But then sometimes they do need that interaction from you. They want to know that you're invested and you're concerned about them and their day. Let's look at transparency. And these are 5 reasons. We got this from marriage.com. 5 reasons that transparency makes your marriage healthier. Number 1, it builds trust. It fosters intimacy. It fosters low conflict relationships. It makes each other's expectations more clear. And it fosters a sense of security.
Yeah. You don't feel like, dang, my boo out here with a side thing. You feel like, oh, no, I know exactly where. Let me tell you something. You want to know one of my favorite things to do?
What's that?
Watch my husband's location on the Apple Maps. That thing just be floating. When he at work, I just see it floating, and I see him move on over, and he just be floating. I'm like, look at my boo hard at work. Yeah. While I'm talking to him on the phone. Yeah. Look at him hard at work. I just love that for him, and I love that for me. I love him.
Yeah.
That's one of my favorite things. And he ain't scared because he does the same thing. You want to know what he's at home doing right now? Probably looking at my location.
Yeah. And while we don't look at each other's location because my husband doesn't have an iPhone, we're literally on the phone most of the day. Mm-hmm. So I couldn't do that at first with my previous job, but now I'm literally in between calls answering emails, and I got my Bluetooth on and my headset on at the same time.
Like a trucker.
And I'm like, hold on. So I got a training call, honey. It's going to be about this. You want to stay on her or you want me to call you back? And so he's listening. So he gets a feel for what my day really looks like. And so now it's almost like I got an extra coworker that I can talk to about what actually has happened throughout my day. And he understands my frustrations about what's going on.
Yeah, it's fun. That transparency, like, it allows you to be like your full self. Like I said, if you don't feel like you are comfortable or safe enough with your spouse that you could be open enough, just be yourself, whether it be silly, whether it be, extra serious, you want to be able to be yourself with your spouse. Like, if you can't be yourself, then probably needs to be with somebody else.
Right. And you need to be able to tell them the hard things. Now, Dree was kind of talking about this earlier about creating the right environment, where somebody can. But I'm going to tell you, there's going to be times where no matter what, it's going to be hard for you to say what it is. And it could be just something, telling them about how you really feel about something, but it could also be like, hey, I'm going to tell you this. I don't want you to get upset about it, whatever, but such and such is in my inbox today. Or such and such. I feel like they was kind of making a side comment or hitting around, flirting with me or whatever. I tell my husband that stuff because I don't want to come up later. I don't want him to end up seeing something in my inbox that I didn't share. And I just feel like that creates that open communication. So, like, hey, just so you know, I ain't looking over there.
Right.
He definitely just tried to say something to me, but I let him know, So also he knows he's on guard too if we're in a place where that person might end up being, I don't want him to be blindsided by anything. So that means I need to be truthful. I need to tell him up front about a person the same way I expect for him to do with me, to let me know.
Right.
But you want to feel secure in your relationship. And I know a lot of people always look at it from the female side, the woman, the wife side, that we want to feel secure. But a man wants to feel secure too.
They definitely do.
They want to feel secure. They want to feel respected and appreciated and, all of those things.
Yeah.
But the biggest or the best part about this really that I'm always for, and that's in any relationship, is making sure that the expectations are clear and that they are set. And it's very important to do that from the beginning. If you didn't do it from the beginning, it's not too late. You could still have that conversation over dinner and say, hey, I know we didn't talk about this at first, but I really want to let you know what I expect from you. If you feel like that's too much, if you feel like that's unreasonable, we can talk about it. But I expect for you to check on me. I expect for you to, when you walk in the door, come hug me. Or I expect for you, I'm just giving y'all some examples. I expect that every morning you text me good morning, or you call me good morning, or if a husband say, I expect for you to cook throughout the week. It may not be every day, but I do expect you to cook meals. That type of stuff needs to be said.
Right.
Because if you let that stuff kind of ongo in the back of your mind, I thought.
Right. If you assume, you can't assume anything for anybody. You have to know. And then while you're dating, you kind of pick up on those things too. But it's still, even though you pick up on them, it's still a good idea to have that discussion. Because let me tell you something. Who's not cooking every day? Her. I'm not cooking.
Right.
I don't want to. Now, if I have a taste for something, and that don't mean that we don't get fed. The family gets fed.
Yeah.
And does it mean that it might be a drive-through meal?
Yeah.
Could be possibly, allegedly, supposedly.
Y'all ate?
We ate.
And some days we got fend for yourself days too. Yeah, there's days that fend for ourselves, but hey, I made sure that food was in there. Hey, this is your options. You can do A, B, C, or D. This is one of them days where I already make sure it's meals prepared. It's already quick stuff. You can fix you some tuna, some crackers, or whatever the case. But it's there. It's there.
I'll make, the way that I do my dinner, I'll make something and be like, okay, we're going to eat on this. Because I just really don't be feeling like cooking. Yeah. It's not that I can't. I just don't feel like it. Like I'm at the end of the day, I want to shut down.
Yeah.
Completely. Yeah. I don't want to go stand in no stove. I don't want to go do anything.
Yeah.
But just go in quiet and dark.
Yeah. Well, and I'm gonna add to this too. I know we're talking about expectations like from the beginning, but expectations can change later on throughout the way.
Oh, definitely.
As you're learning yourself and your spouse, and they feel like, you know, maybe their needs change. Mm-hmm. Maybe it's something they realized that they needed or wanted that they didn't really know how to express before. You know, like right now, I'm doing a lot of cooking, y'all. A lot. So we're making a lot of lifestyle health changes in my household. And so that means I'm trying not to go out to eat, which means I'm cooking all the time. So most likely I'm fixing, she be seeing my pictures. Oh, yeah, I'm fixing something for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And my husband usually wants something for lunch. And, you know, he asked me to cut him some fruit up or fix him a salad. And so I try to meal prep when I can. But the meal prep is a lot when you're prepping it for several people.
Yeah.
So I've been having to try to master, okay, let me see if I could fix this and I can do this in this amount of time and knock out at least this amount of meals.
Yeah.
Or if I'm cooking something else, I'm trying to maximize that time by cooking a second meal at the same time. If it's something I can put in that Instapot, that air fryer or the oven.
She introduced me. I need to get one. She introduced me to this Instapot. That girl cooked a pot of greens in like 20 minutes. I said 20 minutes. And
it's all about the tools.
They were delicious.
Yes.
Oh, Jesus.
I love my air fryer. Next, I'm getting me a Ninja Creamy. I'm getting that next.
I probably won't be, but I would definitely come back with yours.
All right, and then lastly, we're going to talk about submission.
That X-rated word.
Yeah.
It's so bad.
So what's the first thing people think about when they think about submission?
A slave and a woman and a slave. That's a woman.
And people think about the scripture. Even the people that ain't saved think about the scripture.
Yeah.
In Ephesians chapter 5, verse 22 through 25, it says, wives should submit to their husbands and husbands should love their wives as Christ loved the church. Mm-hmm. Now, first value, all people see is the wife need to submit and the husband need to love as the church. But does that mean that a husband don't need to submit? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Mm-hmm. Because if the husband is loving their wife as Christ loved the church, that means the husband needs to submit to Christ first.
Yeah.
But also he needs to go against his own will in order to truly love someone.
Yeah.
If you really love someone and you're giving love, that means you need to be able to give of yourself.
Yeah.
The wife is going to give of herself.
We're natural givers, but that's that reciprocity, reciprocate. Like if I'm doing it and you like, man, I just really love this woman. Let me just give myself. Let me just give myself away. So let me just, she said don't be out past a certain time. Okay, let me make sure I'm at home because I don't want to, make her feel a certain type of way.
Yeah.
She said, she might like this. You know what? I know she wasn't having a good day. Let me go get some ice cream for her and her favorite and some other snacks. That's me.
How does Christ love the church exactly? Mm-hmm. What does that actually mean? What does that mean to you, Dream?
I feel like Christ loving the church means that he loves the church, the people, not the building.
Right.
Flaws and all. Beyonce said that.
Yes, she did.
Yeah. Flaws and all. He loves us whether we got one arm and we stink or we got both arms and we smell like a fresh Bath and Body Works store.
Yeah.
It don't matter. He loves us.
Unconditionally. And that's really hard for people to swallow because they're like, it sound good. Mm-hmm. It sound real good. It sound real pretty. Mm-hmm. Packaged together and all.
Oh, yeah.
But to think about the fact that I have to love somebody even though they hurt me, and I'm not talking about physically, Not talking about physically.
Yeah, emotionally.
Yes. But even with emotionally, you know, I'm definitely not the person who's like condoning divorce. Mm-hmm. But I think there are certain scenarios where it's warranted. That's what you have to do. Mm-hmm. But of course, the goal is to try to make sure that you're doing all the things possible to save your marriage.
Right.
And
now we're not saying be disrespected, be abused, be lied to, and it's going on 80 years, and you're just like, well, let me just try to work it.
The person just wasn't ready.
Right.
They just wasn't a husband or wife.
Right. And you can't really be like, girl, after 2 years, you know, just whatever number feels right for you. Let the Lord lead you.
Yeah.
But we're not saying, you know, try to work it out through bad things like that.
Yeah.
Work out what you know can be salvaged.
Yeah.
Work out what you know can be salvaged. That's all that we're suggesting.
Yeah.
So I don't want nobody saying that we're trying to say otherwise.
Yeah.
Because we're not.
Yeah. But you do have to love your partner through some things.
Yeah.
You know, I can especially say that for me, because me and my husband got married so young that we literally had to grow through and still going through different stages of life and relearning each other all over again and loving each other past the things that we experienced in our childhood, but also helping each other with those things and being willing. As long as you got two willing people.
Oh, yeah.
Two willing people who love each other. That's all. That's what you need. Mm-hmm. That's what you need. It's about, divorce comes when you have somebody that's gave up, that's not willing, that refuses to try, who refuses to change. And it's not about you trying to make somebody change. It's about seeing where there's an issue, a flaw, or whatever, and say, you know what? I recognize I'm working on this.
Right.
And you giving them the room to support to do that.
To work. And that brings us back to the one question that we had at the top that was talking about bring up the issue like as soon as it happens or sometime, you know, close near after things happen. Because if you don't, then it brings us down to this where old issues start coming up, old insecurities, like a lot of, well, I don't want to say a lot of it could be avoided because things happen, life happens, you know, people are people.
Yeah.
But having those conversations, being open, being honest, being transparent, being trustworthy, like it could kind of, I guess, help avoid those situations. Yeah. The divorce.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know?
Yeah.
But like I said, we're not saying stay if you're getting knocked around.
Right. Yeah, we want to make that clear.
Right.
And it would, I mean, if I look at submission from the male point of view, is submission considered to be respect? And I feel like that is. Ultimately, a man wants to feel respected, honored. And so I feel like that in that scripture, that God was conveying that he wants you to allow the man the room to lead and don't try to like be overpowering, overbearing, controlling, that type of thing. When really it's about you two working together. Yeah. You both have different strengths. You both have different gifts. You both have different qualities as a male and a female, as a husband, as a wife. Yep. So you really work together. It's just really breaking down of how he's saying to do it.
Right.
Man, focus on the love for your wife. Love her, cherish her. That's what she needs. Submission for a man means that he needs respect.
Right.
So he's just kind of touching on how you're supposed to do it. That's the direction.
Yeah, I definitely agree.
So what does submission actually mean? According to Oxford Dictionary, the action or fact of accepting and yielding to a superior force or to the will or authority of another person. You know, a lot of people don't like to hear or think or being referenced to as a wife that has to be up under this authoritative figure. And don't get me wrong, I do know that there are some men that are kind of like harsh and big authoritative and I'm the man and listen to me. And that's really not the right attitude to have. It goes back to, again, how God was separating it. If you love your wife, you're not treating her like that.
Right.
You can't love somebody if you're treating them like
that.
It's a two-way street. Like,
it really is.
Like Adrian was saying, you reciprocate on both ends, and it's really not about being a slave to anybody.
No, it's actually just, showing love with your actions, with your words, with spending time with each other, with having fun. Like, that right there, that's part of submission.
Yeah. And I actually so there was another definition, Oxford, that I liked better that says the action of presenting a proposal, application, or other document for consideration or judgment. Now, this sounds like it's talking about more from the business perspective, right? But if you think about it, that's really saying like that you will consider what your spouse is saying. You listen to them, you value, and you appreciate what they're trying to give, reciprocate, or contribute to the household, to you, to your family, and to your children's lives. So, and you're both presenting things to one another to make it the final decision. It's the same way if I go to my husband and I ask him what he think about something and get his approval, he'll do me the same way. It's not take everything to the man and he makes the final decision. We both have a say, because actually in a lot of cases, us having our intuitive abilities, we hear a lot of things that they sometimes don't hear. So it would not be wise for a man to just completely push away what the wife has heard or said or whatever, because
you work together as a team. Yeah, you work together as a team. Two heads are better than one. Like, all of that makes sense now thinking about it. Two heads are better than one, because you can't just go, I've had said this example before, like, if your husband is not great at making good, sound, safe decisions, what makes you think that I'm about to let you make a decision for me and my babies? Because I'm not.
And people not thinking about that when they about to marry somebody. They just think about how in love they are, how fine they are, how much money they got, or we've been together forever. But then I think about, okay, so how's this person going to be when it comes to make decisions? How's it going to be when it comes time to raise a child? How's it going to be when it's time to take care of business, pay bills? Do they pay bills? What their credit look like? And I understand some of us get married like we did, so there wasn't a lot of emphasis on that because we weren't even learning that. I'm still trying to make sure that I put those things into my children now that I wasn't getting then, because I know better now. But if you know, you need to be asking those things ahead of time. Because it just makes it much easier with your marriage later on. It's a hardship that you can alleviate if you guys are talking about those things.
Definitely. Definitely.
Well, guys, thank you guys so much for joining us today.
This was a really good discussion.
It was.
I kind of feel like this is just scratching.
Still scratching.
I like my scratch finger. I'm going to do this every time I say scratching. This was just scratching a little bit of the surface, because you can definitely go into each topic on its own. And I look forward to doing it, because this was good. This was good. Y'all, before we go, we just want to say what we said in the beginning, like, comment, subscribe, notification bell. Do all of the things. And join the discussion, please. We want to hear from you. We want to see what your thoughts are. We're trying to, still continue to build our community, our virtual community, our in-person community. So just go ahead and tell us your thoughts, so that we can see some other thoughts outside of ours. But y'all, before we leave you, we always leave you with what? A wood. A good thing is not hard to find,
but it takes work to keep it.
Yes, it does. Until next week, guys, we love you, and be blessed.
Be blessed.
Bye.
Bye-bye.